no veg. Yeah, it's fine. Oh yeah, there we go. No, videoing. No.
No, wait! Step aside. I'm going to show you how it's done.
So it's 27th of April, Sunday, 2025. We're in London for the London Marathon. Sam, how many times has the London Marathon been run?
Oh, it's been run since 1981.
Come in. Tell us.
The marathon started in 1981, so you do the maths.
Yeah, and who else is here? Justin? Justin's here, final year student for business management with sport.
Congratulations.
Ethan, come in.
My name's Ethan.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Come on, guys. Michael, Charge. We're all in London to see the operation of this long-standing hallmark event. We're now presently stood on the mile, which is the Mall, 1 mile long, which is, you can see behind us, which is where the finish line is, which is just in front of Buckingham Palace. We're going to make our way down to Buckingham Palace, down to the finishing line to see the setup. Then just bringing in some of the trucks now as part of the D-rig. And just over to the left over there, you've got a first aid. Not necessarily for the runners, but also for the public as well. There were first aid points along the 26.2 mile route, which started in Greenwich and ends at Buckingham Palace. So let's make our way down there. If you stand on the side, I'll pretend to cheer you home. Where's Justin? Oh yeah.
And I was thinking, the people next to me, like, imagine like what's going through this guy's head. He's got, what, 30 kilometers left.
Oh, that'd be crazy. No way I get to see the people.
Oh, it's like that.
But
Look at you.
for the Instagram.
There you go.
Hey. Yeah.
A lot of tourism. This tourism can provide revenue for all the local cafes, local bars, the hotels. Also, you can show off all the buildings around in London. It further promotes tourism.
Yeah, this is a tourism destination event, and the route is a signifier of that. That's why it finishes at Buckingham Palace, which is a tourism hotspot, and that's why it starts at Greenwich, which is Greenwich Mean Time, where the timing for the rest of the globe starts. But it runs along a route, and the route that it takes goes to all of the iconic tourism locations. So people are lined along the route, but the majority of the people are at this location. So if you turn around and have a look down the Mall and you can see people cheering on as they come to the final part of their race, whether they took 1 hour and 90 minutes or whether they took 4 hours to complete the race. But in terms of the whole total infrastructure for this event, it is one of the biggest events in London because so many roads are closed down. Incidentally, Manchester today has their marathon, and they have about 36,000 people running that race. They're always oversubscribed. So this one's oversubscribed by hundreds of thousands of people who apply each year. But obviously they can't all run the race. But it's one of London's most unique events. About economic impact for sports events within the economy. Sam, what data did you get in terms of economic impact for London Marathon? What year was it?
So based on the research I've collected, a study in 2021 showed that the London Marathon can generate up to £37 million in new money. So this is money raised throughout the actual marathon. So again, like I spoke about earlier, from the bars, cafes,
Hotels, restaurants,
so,
yeah, all the sort of leisure activities that people do when they come. But since 1981, since the marathon started, it has had an economic impact in London of 1.3 billion. And normally when the marathon is run, a lot of people who come raise money for charity. So since the marathon has been going, it's raised over 73 million in charitable donations. So even though it's sponsored by a major brand, and there are a lot of other brands associated with the event, sports events bring a lot of money to the economy and drives the economy forward. So this weekend we've got the semi-finals. So a lot of people from Manchester, because City's playing in London, have come down. So therefore they will spend their money on the trains, they will spend their money in the bars, and they may, if they stay over at a hotel, they'll be in the hotels. They'll have the restaurants and whatever leisure activities they do in the evenings. And then you also had the Eubank and Connor fight, which took place yesterday at the Tottenham Stadium, and that again would have brought a lot of people into the city and from all over the world as well as all over the country, and that would bring a significant economic impact. So overall, the whole weekend in London, there will be a significant amount of money, new money, that people would have brought to the city that would be spent in the city, and that's how sports events drives the economy forward.
Yeah, Mo's was no Mo's brother. I didn't. He was like, you said go to the roof. Everyone was like, bloody hell. He definitely was taking long to me. Yeah, the only problem was yeah, it took too long to leave. Sorry, what? It took too long to leave. Yeah.
Chinatown. Yeah, we're going after this.
It's a lap dancing place in Chinatown.
What time do we get back to Piccadilly? We'll get a few beers in for a train. We're going there after.
Sunday night, I don't know if it's open Sunday. So we're now on exiting the Elizabeth line, and this line was built specifically for the 2012 Olympic Games. Up until that point, there was no tube line that took you to this part of East London. And in fact, when we're going to come into the Olympic Village, the Olympic Park, that whole part of London was derelict since 1945. So when they won the rights to host the Olympic Games in 2005, they built the whole of this area, including the tube line, which we're going to see later on.
Finger point in East London.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. I'm going to be keeping this corner right now.
You got to be in it.
Your likeness.
Get in it.
Me.
Right, when you're ready.
Yeah, done.
All right. So we're on the cusp of the Olympic Village. And as you can see from the sign there, we're going to enter to the London Stadium, which used to be the Olympic Stadium built for the Olympic Games. This whole area around here, if you'd like to pan around.
Yeah.
Look. When London won the rights to host the Olympic Games in 2005, there was nothing here. There was no Olympic Park, there was no Olympic venues, it was just wasteland. And it's been wasteland since 2000, from 1945 up until 2005. And then they decided to invest that money for the Olympic Games and therefore rejuvenate this part of East London. And they built the they built the Elizabeth line to connect London to the rest of the tube network. So this whole, well, what we know as Olympic Games was more about economic regeneration, because you got the shopping centre, which we just passed near the, when you leave the station, you get to the shopping centre, which is Westfield Shopping Centre, and then you got all these accommodations which are built around here, and offices are built around here. And if you can imagine, this whole place was just derelict wasteland from 1945 to 2005. So we're going to enter into what is now known as the Olympic Village, Queen Elizabeth Park and London Stadium and all the other stadiums. West Ham United Stadium, and it cost £500 million to build for the Olympic Games, and the whole idea about it was, after the Olympic Games concluded, is that one of the football clubs in London would buy the stadium. So there was a bidding war between two of the clubs, I think it was Tottenham and West Ham, but it was an agreement in the original plan that a football club would take the stadium. So the cost of the stadium would then be levied against whoever now owns it, and West Ham United now owns the stadium, after a small little court proceedings to make sure that they were the preferred partner for it. So this is the home for that football club. But also they have a lot of major events here as well, because it's one of those iconic stadiums in London. So it's not just for football, it's also there for a number of other major events. And to the left, what you see is the velodrome with a slanting roof. And just like other cities across the UK, Manchester has a velodrome, Derby has a velodrome. I think there's about 4 cities or 5 cities across the UK that have a velodrome. But Manchester was one of the first cities to have one. And this was built, and this remains here for any major sporting event, particularly cycling events and world track cycling events that happen at the velodrome here. A lot of the other venues on the site that was built for the Olympic Games, they were temporary buildings and they were then taken down, but 3 of the most iconic ones still remain, which is the velodrome, which is the stadium, and also the swimming facility, Olympic swimming pool. But what you do have here is a park, and it's one of the biggest parks in London. And the reason why this park was built, because in East London they didn't have a major park. And if anybody understands about well-being and growing up as a child, one of the things you love to do is play in a park. So to create a community, one of the things they decided to do was build a park, and we're going to go and see that later on. So let me give you an idea how big this place is. If you see way over there, that white building where the planes just flying over, it's all the way over there, and it's way beyond those trees where the Olympic Park is. And there's obviously on the other side of this building. So a lot of the property around here was built to house people for the Olympic Games, i.e. the athletes village. But after that, they built more other. So you got BBC here on your left. You got Sadler's Wells Theatre here as well. That came afterwards. But because obviously the BBC took a major part in filming the Olympic Games, that was another springboard for development. So over the many years since 2012, more and more businesses, more and more offices, more and more industries have arrived in Olympic Park to basically show that the area now is a thriving community, which, like I said previously, was just derelict wasteland. So the Olympic Game was here to inspire economic regeneration for a part of East London. So it sits on 4 boroughs, which I think is Newham, Walthamstow, and Hackney, another borough. So 4 boroughs are impacted by this one particular site in terms of that. But also when you look at the data related to people who live in East London, they are the worst deprived people in terms of health, in terms of economics and social care and school attainment. So this 15 billion that was spent to regenerate this area was to bring a lot of people out of poverty and also give them jobs and prosperity and a community. So a lot of the venues, particularly the one behind you, is still used by the community.
To claim the championship for the 16 years age group, it's not a flown over. It's silver for the great car and bronze to Santa Felix.
That's what I agree.
Here we go then.
Final 200 IM of the weekend. They've been good fun so far. Big favourite in this one will be Inez Guillaume-Beetham.
No.
Who was the queen of the 400. She swam a brilliant race in that yesterday. Swam the heat as a final, basically got her time and said that's me for the day. But it's good to see her in the final of 200, where she's got the time 2:19.78, potentially better.
We're now in the Olympic swimming
this weekend. Isla Roberts in lane number 5 may well be her closest challenger. She has the second quickest time coming into this race, and it is, crucially, her birthday as well. 17 today, Isla Roberts. from Hackney Aquatics. So very many happy returns. And let's see if she can give herself a pretty decent birthday present with a medal here in the 200 medley.
So I'd like to introduce you to Sam. Sam is a final year student about to graduate in a few months' time. And as you know, we're down in London for the industry visit. Behind us is West Ham United, who occupy what was used to be the Olympic Stadium. And I don't think most people can understand how big this site is. So let's put it into context. In terms of hectares, how big is the stadium?
So interestingly enough, the stadium behind us is actually 40 hectares big. However, the stadium that is located around the whole Olympic Village is actually 225 hectares. And within this area, you have different sport venues, like as you can see behind, you have a huge swimming venue, if you're just been to go and watch now. You have other restaurants around and other facilities as well.
So does the 240 plus hectares, does it include the Olympic Park as well? The actual Queen Elizabeth Park, or is it just the Olympic Village?
According to our research, it was just the Olympic Village.
Right, okay. Yeah, the Olympic Park, as I said earlier on, is meant to be one of the biggest parks in the UK. I live in an area of London where they have Hampstead Heath, which is probably a really big park. So it's hard to put it in context, but if you did an aerial Google view of this location, it's a significant site, not just to actually walk through it, but in terms of understanding the big economic regeneration, which we're going to take a look at in the stadium. Come on, everybody, follow me.
I'm glad to put you on with that picture.
Photos and videos as you like. It's a photo. Take as many photos and videos as you like. Any questions, just shout me, I'll try my best, okay? Yeah, you need to go to the toilet, anything, just shout one of my colleagues, they'll help you out as well. There is a tour upstairs, but we're going to start downstairs just so you have your own experience.
Thank you.
Yeah, follow me this way. Ted Lasso gets shot here. Disney were here a few months ago. They felt that this lower floor looked like an airport lounge lobby. So they transformed this entire bottom floor to an airport. They didn't tell us much about the script, but we kind of worked out that people broke out of the prison, they needed an airport to escape, but we might see that in a year or two. You guys know the show Black Mirror?
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows, my favorite episode was shot upstairs in a room we got to soon. You don't know this, but West Ham are always here a day before a game. So they're playing on Saturday, they'll be here Friday. They're playing on Thursday, they'll be here Wednesday, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's say they're playing on Saturday. What they do is they arrive on a Friday morning, park their cars up outside. They come through. They go up to a room we're going to go up to soon with Royal East, have some breakfast, come down as a group, jump on a coach. The coach takes them to a local hotel, spend the night in the hotel. Next day on the Saturday, when you're watching the game, you see the big coach. But you can get up one more appearance. You can see the Queen obviously behind that. Special thing about this team is that from the goalie to striker, they were all English. So that probably never happened again, just because how international football is. Even the one manager and the one sub were also English, so that will never happen again. Man on name, hope you recognise him.
Bobby Moore.
Bobby Moore. 64 FA Cup, 65 Cup Winners' Cup, World Cup in 66. Won all three whilst having cancer. Didn't tell a single soul. Didn't tell a single soul that he had cancer. That's why he's very much loved as a national player, but obviously as a West Ham player as well. 64 FA Cup at Wembley, 65 Cup Winners' Cup at Wembley, World Cup 66 at Wembley. 3 years, 3 different tournaments, won all 3. I haven't heard of a stat like that since. My favourite person in this entire room, that man in the middle, the black and white photo. I've been here for a long time now, and I promise you not even die-hard West Ham fans recognise.
Defence a bit, but that's alright because I made up front, scored a hat-trick, and yeah, left foot, right foot, header, perfect hat-trick. Cheers.
You've been a bit of rough form recently, but today you scored a hat-trick.
Yeah,
walk me through that first goal.
Oh well, I took it, picked up ball up halfway line, went past first defender, played out wide. Jared got a good crossing and then headed it home.
Hey, congratulations, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Enjoy the match of the Lord.
Cheers.
So they rent the stadium for 8 months of the year, the Premier League season. The other 4 months is when the concerts, the events, the baseball, which we'll talk about, that's when that all takes place.
So the money goes to the owner of the stadium?
Newham Council.
Your council?
Newham Council.
Right.
So West Ham, I think I just said this, sorry.
Yeah.
West Ham, 8 months of the season, Premier League season. The day the Premier League season finishes, every single photo you see gets taken away because it's not West Ham Stadium. It's like renting a house, you can't just leave your stuff in there.
Yeah.
So we're about to go into the changing room. Depending what you think of the size of it, I personally think it's a little bit underwhelming. But West Ham, they can't knock this wall down, they can't knock that wall down because it's not theirs. You know, you can't just start knocking walls down in your house. You know, so in the summer, if you guys came here in 2 months' time, all these photos will be replaced with the people that have summer events here. Like there'll be a Beyonce photo, there'll be a Weekend photo, there'll be Rolling Stones photo, whatever it is. So they summarize it. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of mind games and tactics in English football. I love that side. I can talk to you about it all day. West Ham are no different. So the away change room is just here. On match days, they send the away team through these doors. It's an extra 10-minute walk around.
10-minute walk?
Yeah. So
right round the stadium.
Are you off? Okay, thank you. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
So they go to walk right around the stadium?
Yeah, honestly, you go through those doors there, go all the way around. The change room's just here. But I could talk about that side all day. When there is some, I'll tell you about. But yeah, follow me.
Another stadium does that too.
Get the, he's got my pass.
Minutes and I couldn't get
Head round.
Oh, even got a coffee machine here.
Can we drink this water?
Yeah.
Oh, we've got some drinks in EO Creek.
Oh, this is sick. This is sick.
You even have the lockers.
This is sick.
Those fucking giant.
This guy was it's been underwhelming though.
So I was gonna follow on this. Well, don't follow on.
Running 0.5.
Oh, still.
Legend tour is going to be here in a second, but I'll show you everything, don't worry. So depending what you think the size of this room, it used to be a lot smaller than this. So Bilic was the first manager here, very loud, very aggressive guy, likes to shout at the squad houses. So if you look at the cut along the floor here, this is how small the room used to be. So small room, loud voice, scares his players, that was his room. He left, David Moyes came in, David Moyes said this is way too small, they knocked down that wall, and that's what we see today. Every manager has their own thing. So Lopetegui was very much into technology, he used to do green screen, that comes down, projector screen, this comes down, match highlights, player highlights, that sort of stuff. All of,
Sorry, I thought you said that they aren't allowed to knock things down.
I think David Moyes got a special exception. It might be like, I'm not taking this job on this. Because this is very small.
Yeah.
So it's a rare occasion. But all the shirts you see, this is like all the players would sit. So as long as I've been here, Fabianski always sits right there, Bowen usually sits right there, and Antonio normally sits here, he's just obviously injured right now. Little quick history about West Ham. It wasn't always called West Ham. They were called Thames Iron Works. So from this point on, if you ever see another hat, bag, ball, scarf, kit, flag, pillar, anything with a badge, you'll see the TIW, Thames Iron Works. They were a shipbuilding company. How do you build ships? Irons and hammers. That's where the nickname comes from. Simple as that. So if I show you the goalie kit, it's on every shirt, but it's easier to see on the goalie shirt this year. You can see the TIW on the hammer. It's absolutely everywhere. So from this point on, if you ever see another hat, bag, ball, scarf, kit, flag, hanger, anything, you'll see it.
You know, you said outside that you have it for the 8 months of the year, but it's financially viable for you. So do you have a full stadium every time the home game here?
Yeah, so I don't work for West Ham. I can talk to you about that later on.
Oh, right.
But West Ham have one of the highest averages attendances in the Premier League. So as bad as they're doing this season, they still max out 60 or 1,000. So if you like man for man, they get an average attendance more than like a Man United.
What's the capacity of this stadium?
So we'll say when we're outside, but originally it was 58, currently 62, but will be 66. So it'll be one of the biggest stadiums in the Premier League as well, which is very cool. You ready to start moving through?
Yeah.
If another
For LD's rooms are very natural feeling for those summer events as well, because it has to be neutral. So this room gets used as the backstage room for all the artists. So whoever's performed, green room. So whoever's performed here, I'll talk about that later on when we're upstairs, because we kind of flipped the tour. But Jay-Z, Beyonce, The Weeknd, Burna Boy, Rolling Stones, Muse, Foo Fighters, whoever's performed there, this is their backstage room. So I'm a big fan of The Weeknd. I snuck in here a day before this concert, they looked incredible in here. They looked really good. But it's very, like I was saying, all the West Ham photos, they get taken down. It does seem very harsh. One, they need to be updated with the next season photos. But then two, like I was saying, it's not their stadium anymore. So it's kind of the harsh truth of it.
Is there any plans to buy the stadium, or is it just going to
So
on that
you know as
rental
much
deal?
as I do,
Alright.
but there is something called the London Legacy, where all the buildings that were used for the Olympics is still being used. So that was one of the big reasons why the 2012 London got the Olympics. So if you wanted to go to the Copper Box after this, you guys can. If you wanted to go for a swim after this, you guys can. If you wanted to go to the Velodrome, you can. So if you look at like Beijing or Rio Olympics, all those buildings are just rust now because they don't get used. So that was the big part of 2012 Olympics. So I think their deal runs out next year. So from there, I think there'll be talks about buying the stadium. But it just, the deal works out too well for them. You know, only 2 million a year. Okay, thank you. Okay guys, so again, because it's a different route, I usually say this already, but this is the only stadium in Europe that does Major League Baseball. Okay, we'll talk a lot about that when we head outside. These are their changing rooms. Okay, so we're gonna go through, I'll show you the videos. If you wanna take a seat, take a seat. All I ask is just don't touch the shirt. Sam will get very angry with us. But follow me through, take a seat, I'll talk to you about the room. Okay, so it's a little bit different to the West Ham changing room.
It doesn't have West Ham players in the room anymore.
Oh, that's clean. Damn, we even got the green screen there.
Oh, but this one's better though.
Can we sit on the chairs?
Yeah. Wow.
Damn, King Charlie.
Oh, it's comfy.
How come they have it for loads of different teams?
I'll say. Okay, so first thing you'll probably. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no.
Don't mind if I do.
The helmet for us.
Hey guys, doing alright?
Okay, so so if you guys came here a couple of years ago, this used to be a full-on 110-meter running track. So from that very back wall down there, that blue bit down there, to way past the other lots of rooms, this used to be a 110-meter running track. So Usain Bolt, Mo Farah, Jessica Ennis, whoever you can think of, this is where they practiced before going outside. MLB came in, they said they can work with this. They chopped it in two, and these are their clubhouses. So first year was 2019, Yankees Red Sox, big derby game. Before I carry on, I'll show you this up here. So these are the time lapses of how they changed from football to baseball. You can find it on YouTube if you want to watch it. It takes 14 days overall to do. Americans being Americans, they Americanize it as much as possible. They bought their own grass and mud from America.
Did you say they bring their own grass and mud?
Yeah, grass, sand and mud. And they sell 2-foot-long hot dogs on the boat. You can notice how the stands, I know we haven't gone outside, but you'll notice how the stands have changed shape to not a common football stadium. So yeah, you can find that on YouTube. We'll come up again in the next couple of minutes. But yeah, Yankees, Red Sox, big derby game. They always bring the big games over. They're not going to bring like a Everton, Southampton sort of game, you know. So they're supposed to play in 2020, but 2020 happened. So next year was 2023, Cubs and Cardinals. And then last year was Philadelphia Phillies, and the room next door was New York Mets. So I think someone asked, why is there 4 apiece? This was Philadelphia's room last year. So they were supposed to play in Paris this year. It didn't sell well, so they cancelled it. So it'll be back here in 2026. So this is the only stadium in Europe that does Major League Baseball, because how those stands can move. But we'll talk about that when we head outside. If you don't know much about baseball, there's 30 teams in the league. 1 team from Canada, the Blue Jays. There's a man called Yohei Ohtani. He's a Japanese baseball player. He went from LA Angels to their rivals LA Dodgers. His transfer fee, $700 million. He's the most expensive athlete of all time.
700 million.
Yeah. He's the most expensive athlete of all time in any sport ever. So if you think of what like a prime Messi and Ronaldo would have went for, 700 million.
What's the average price of a player then? Transfer?
In baseball is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Baseball is ridiculous.
Like, got crazy money.
Crazy man. But there's a salary cap, so it works out a bit different. So his contract is 50 years long. Obviously, he's not going to play for 50 years, but he'll get paid for 50 years.
But even if he retires.
Yeah, because of the salary cap, he can. LA Dodgers can only afford to pay him $2 million a year, but he'll get paid for 50 years to reach that money.
But he gets sponsorship.
Or he'll make more money from sponsorship.
Is he the best?
He's the Messi of, I know it's cliche to say, Yohei Ohtani. In sports, because you know there's not much working wrong with it. But you got to think as well, you know, if my friend was over there throwing the ball at me, there's not much room to it, you know. So it's one of the hardest things to do in sports.
It's actually smaller than the ball.
This isn't one of the bats. It's just to show.
What about size?
Size probably. This is a wooden bat where
That's
more
thinner than the.
Yeah, you can see. Look, so you
Yeah, that's crazy.
bats are more aluminium bats, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like a show one, you know.
I've never watched baseball, to be honest.
It's and you know when you see someone throw it, they've got to get it in a square that big, otherwise it's out or wide or.
I know it's difficult
Yeah.
for the pitcher.
Sorry, I jumped past it. So this was the actual track from 2012 that Usain Bolt ran on. So the world's fastest time of all time was ran on this track. So you'll notice it in a second when we go outside. But the triangular lights, they used to sit on top of the roof, and that used to represent the Queen's crown, like crown jewels of the Olympic Games. But now obviously they're flipped full of floodlights. So the 9.6 seconds, the world's fastest time was on this track, which is pretty cool. We're going to go through to the away room, a lot of mind games and tactics, like I was saying. You know, the away team can't come down this way, like I was sending them all around. When we go outside, home seats are heated, obviously away seats aren't. This room's a little bit different as well, so we'll go through.
Before we go back up, we go back in the home change.
In there, purpose. So if you've got 40 people in here, managers trying to talk, obviously words can easily get lost in translation. So done completely on purpose. Every team do their own thing. So Leicester City, what they do, they have a giant pillar in the room for absolutely no reason. The pillar don't do a single thing. It's just so you can't see all your teammates. At Arsenal, there's a bench about this high, so you sit down and can't see each other. Liverpool, they make all their away team sit back to back so you can't see each other. Every team do their own thing. Barcelona, most famous one in the world, you can look it up. Barcelona's away room is shaped like an L, just so you can't see all your teammates. So if we were in the Barcelona away room, I wouldn't be able to see my friend over there because of the shape of the room. So every team do their own thing. My friend, he's called Sheffield Wednesday. There's one toilet in the away room at Sheffield Wednesday. Everything's just... Yeah, no one's breaking...
They used to hang the stuff like proper hard.
Yeah, everyone does it. No one's breaking any laws, little mind games, little tactics. So this is a nice room. One, because again, West Ham don't own the stadium, they rent it. If you're going to take anything away, take that info away, because it is the most important part. So this has to remain neutral. You might have seen there was no showers in the baseball rooms. They use these rooms to shower as well. All the shirts, all in here for a historical reason. The very first one, 1923, first ever FA Cup final that West Ham played in. 127,000 tickets were sold for that game, but police estimate 300,000 people at that match. So if you go on Google and write White Horse Final, you see 300,000 people at a football match, which is mental. All the shirts have a reason, more modern ones. Pink shirt is when the ladies team first played there in 2019 against the Tottenham women, about 40,000. That's the players' entrance, which we walk through. Some things in there maybe laugh. If you're quite tall, you might stand up, you might bash your head. No plug sockets either. You might have seen in the home room, every shirt had their own plug socket. So let's say Man City were here next week. Haaland needs to charge his phone or whatever. He has to leave the room because there's no plugs in there. So it's quite fun. So it's a nice room. It's not the worst room. It's not the best room. West Ham can't mess with it as much as other teams because they don't own the stadium. So when there are events like Soccer Aid or baseball, these have to remain neutral. Alright, we'll head outside. Follow me outside. Outside, you want to take a seat? Please do. I'll let you guys enjoy it first. Okay, so if you so for the Olympics, this is where the 100-meter lane is. So the Queen, she had the best seats. Again, we'll go upstairs in a second, but if you look under where it says 2 West, that's where the Queen sat. So she had the best view of the race. So this isn't the actual medal, but it's a replica. So pass it around, take some photos, all that sort of stuff. Same weight and design. This is a really cool story. I learned this the other day. So from this point out, if you ever see another Olympic medal from any year, you got the Goddess of Victory on the medal. Okay, her name is Nike. So Nike named their company after the Goddess of Victory, which is really cool. So I learned that the other day. So take some photos, do what you need to do. Same weight and design, just weighs just under 1 kilogram.
I'm gonna take a photograph.
Yeah.
Take a photograph.
Oh. Reminiscing on dreams that could have come.
Yes.
But you got a dodgy knee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Injured athlete.
On the podium.
So if you come here, you can still see the track. So you can see the track underneath. So that gives you an idea. So if that's where the 100 meters is, it gives you an idea of where the 400 would have been underneath. So I know you already saw it from the baseball, but that stand is built into the stadium. The 2 goal stands and this stand's all scaffolds. So when there's concerts, they push the stands in. When there's monster trucks, they get rid of all the free stands, so it's more safety barriers. Like you saw for baseball, home plate is about halfway down that tunnel. So they really move it around to how they need it. So you can see it's a very nice stadium. It's just a shame. The pundits will be in that room by the black box, but the cameras will be just above where it says 2 West.
Right.
So the journalists are in those grey stairs there.
After the Olympic Games, there was a bit of debate between 2 clubs, 2 London clubs, who were going to take this space. Which other club was it?
Tottenham were going for the stadium.
Yeah.
They didn't want to move their fan base from North London to East London.
Right.
They also had plans to build their own stadium at the time. Leighton Orient were the other team, but what Leighton Orient wanted to do is they wanted to get rid of this top stand, so it'll just be this lower stand. That's a bit of a waste.
Okay.
So it made sense for West Ham to change it. It would have looked a bit silly just having this lower.
So where was their original stadium before they came here?
West Ham,
Yeah.
a few miles away in Rush Green. Couple miles away, honestly. Couple miles away. Upton Park, obviously. So it's quite funny. So obviously, Betware, a gambling company. So Big Dog, Sky, TNT, whatever it is, they get this corner room, which is the biggest room. Same design, it's just a bit bigger. So West Ham obviously use that room. Talksport usually use this room. The stuff in the grey thing is there, cameras or whatever. Premier League, every room every outlet has their own room. So Sky Sports, Top Dogs, obviously they'll go to Sky Sports first. So that's why they have like the most passionate interviews, because they always go there first. And then when you're watching Match of the Day that night, that's why it's always more robotic, because they've just done 7 interviews before that. But the only thing I know in here is that when the managers are in here, they have to be the furthest apart. So if Guardiola's in one room, Potter's in the other, they have to be the furthest apart so they don't like earworm what everyone's saying afterwards. So if you want to take some photos, we'll head upstairs and just look there.
Interview me. Mate, you gotta come here a bit. Sorry, Gaffer. Right, Sam, how'd the game go for you? Yeah, of course.
Durantis today in the Champions League.
I'd like to apologise to the fans. No further comments, thank you.
It's like this. Get up!
Get up!
No question.
Probably is.
So we'll be in here for a second. I'm trying to sort your thing out for you.
Oh yeah, cheers.
But we're going to go upstairs, so have a look round. You take a look at this photo, because we're going to talk about it when we go upstairs. You might recognise it, but we'll talk about it when we go upstairs as well. 116 nationalities have got a petal. That petal created the Olympic flame. So it's one of them. Number 4 and 5 from the Olympics, but obviously we've got Usain Bolt on board as well. Some other events I've got to mention, Soccer Raid. Hopefully you know what Soccer Raid is. I was here a couple of years ago. Monster Trucks. The Monster Trucks was really cool event. Spain Colombia, I played here a couple months ago. Yamal, Diaz, all those sort of players, they all played here. So I know we're not finished yet, but this is usually the last one. But it's a lot more than just a West Ham stadium. Hopefully you've already kind of noticed that. but since 2012 to now, it holds so much history in such a short amount of time. I'm not a West Ham fan, but the stadium is really nice because of the history it holds. Again, it's a shame.
Have the fans taken to the stadium then?
It's very surprising. Honestly, it's a difficult one because a lot of people still talk about how far away you are from the pitch, but then people are like, oh, it's much closer than I thought, you know, word of mouth, that sort of stuff. So it really is a difficult point. When people say they've never been here before, I like to ask them at the end of the tour, what did you think of the stadium? Their whole opinion changes. So I think it's just one of those things as well, you're used to what you're used to. So the older generation of fans, they're used to being this far away from the players because there's a stand called the chicken run where the player used to go out for a throw, you could literally grab their shirt, that's how close you are. And obviously it's a little bit different now because it's like running track, but it is what it is, you can't get closer. Let me just give this to my friend. Yeah, carry on having the link. This is one of 2 luxury suites in the entire stadium. I know you've already seen the stadium, but this is the start of it. So it's called the Royalist. The reason why it's called the Royalist is where the Queen sat for the Olympics. Okay. Follow me through, we'll head outside, I'll talk to you about the stadium, but I'll give you enough time to take as many photos and videos as you like. See it. Follow me through. The price depends on the level of the game. A game against Man City costs a lot more than like a Carling Cup, so so if you were to get a thing in here, price depends on the level game. So you get the Michelin star food, you get the drinks, you get the seats. You're looking around £700 to £900 per person. So it does come with a free program.
A la carte menu, I hope.
All the lights circular throughout the stadium. You might have noticed that Olympic rings. It's a nice touch throughout the whole stadium. But like I said at the very start room, all the players will use this room the day before. Have breakfast. We'll head around this way. Let's head around this way.
I didn't see the trophy cabinet.
So there isn't a trophy cabinet because it's not West Ham Stadium.
Can't wheel one in and wheel one out.
No, honestly, you have to believe me. It's something that we get asked every day.
Yeah.
There isn't one because it's not West Ham Stadium, and that's one of the harsh truths of the stadium.
Yeah. You realise there's trophy store.
I don't think I'm allowed to say. Conference League, allegedly, is in there, in the chairman's suite. Next to this is the chairman's suite, or it might be in the chairman's house.
Is the chairman like Karen Brady?
Karen Brady and David Gold. But I don't think I'm allowed to say that trophies. But this here is a nod to West Ham's most successful period of time. So West Ham, obviously, 1964 FA Cup. Oldest cup in the world, FA Cup. In the middle, Cup Winners' Cup, the Europa FA Cup. So 3 trophies in 11 years, pretty good for any team. I know we've got a Man City fan here, so it's not much. But 1980 FA Cup as well. Okay, so like I was saying, West Ham fans will tell you they won the biggest trophy of them all in 1966. Does anyone know the World Cup? Yes. So
how many players were in the squad for West Ham?
All the goal scorers that day, West Ham players. All the assist makers, West Ham players. Bobby Moore, captain of England, captain of West Ham. 3 of the 11 players. So we're not sure what the other 8 players were doing. But there was no subs back then either. Yeah. It's good to know that. I learned that the other day. So subs were introduced in 1970. So if you're down to 10, you're down to 10. That was it. They introduced subs in 1970, which is pretty crazy to think about.
That's insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So yeah, funny around. So I mentioned earlier on, this is a nod to the Olympics. All 216 nationalities that played in the games, all in alphabetical order. So for you guys that are from Great Britain's right here. Okay. But when we have our big public tours, we see if everyone's got other nationalities. During the Olympics, a lot of people forget this. This used to be a 3-tier stadium. So this used to be 80,000 seats for the Olympics. One of the biggest stadiums in Europe at the time. I already said it, but West Ham when they moved in originally was 58,000 seats, slowly went up to 65,000 As of today, it's 62,000. But it does have the rights to go up to 66,000. You just can't sell that right now. It comes down to public safety, police safety, transportation, staffing. In Stratford, Westfield hold another 5,000 people. So once those barriers are met, it can go up to 66,000. So you might be wondering, where will the additional seats be added into? They're already here. So if you look above the TV screen, just below where it says Bobby Moore stand, you've got a black cloth at the very top that wraps all the way around. So again, when there's public safety, police safety, transportation, when all those barriers are met, it will go up to 66,000. During the summer, when there's concerts mode, again, it goes up to 80,000 because you can stand on the pitch. First to perform it was AC/DC. Since then, you've had a lot of rock and roll bands, Rolling Stones, Muse, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day. There's been a lot of rock and roll bands. Jay-Z, Beyonce, The Weeknd, Burna Boy, they've all performed here twice. This summer is Sam Fender and another rock band, Iron Maiden.
Who was your? It's Jeff Hurst and who was the other one?
Jeff Hurst might be his bottom one. So Jeff Hurst, until Mbappe in the last World Cup final, he was the only man to ever score a hat-trick in the World Cup final. So he had that record for 60 plus years. Mbappe though, to me, 2 penalties, also given extra time. Jeff Hurst did it. Very famous story, you might know this. 2 weeks before the World Cup was starting, the trophy was on display in central London, Westminster. Just one security guard, no glass, no barriers, just one guy. His shift finished, no one was there to replace him. He said, I'm going home, my day's done. Came back next day, someone stole the World Cup trophy. This was 2 weeks before the World Cup was starting, so every country in the world was laughing at us, we lost the World Cup trophy. A couple days later, a man started to walk his dog. The dog started to sniff under a car, unraveled the newspaper, and there was the trophy. The dog's name was called Pickles. Pickles the dog, you can look him up. Ended up being a very famous dog, ended up in a few films, a few adverts, tasted English dog food. So it was a good story around. England won the World Cup, and a famous dog came out of it as well. So behind you guys is the actual, the original trophy, the Jules Rimet trophy. It's called Jules Rimet because the president of FIFA was called Jules Rimet. It's a bit selfish, he named it after himself. He said that if anyone wins my trophy 3 times, they get. In 1966, England won the World Cup. 1970, Mexico hosted the World Cup. Brazil won that World Cup, but whilst on display in Rio de Janeiro in 1972, someone stole it again. But to this day, it's never been seen. So the original World Cup trophy is out there somewhere. It just hasn't been seen since 1972. So if you watch England, you know, colour coordinated to the medal that you won. So Jessica Ennis, her name's in gold because she won gold, so on and so forth. So if you're a player between that time period of 64 to 75, your name's also on the wall. So Trevor Brooke and Frank Lampard, obviously they won at the Olympics. Like I was saying, all the lights are circular, Olympic rings, it's a nice touch throughout. Above us is a room called the Great Britain Lounge. Essentially those medals are from the original Olympics that was held here in 1908. England, Great Britain are the only country in the world to host the Olympics 3 times, 1908, 1948 and 2012. They are the medals from 1908. But yeah, follow me. My friends are right here. So I don't know who owns this box, I think it might be this company up here. But this is what a box looks like. So it's a nice room. Again, some of the downsides, it doesn't feel like West Ham, you know. But that's some of the pros and cons that go into it. We can go outside. Where a bomb was in a football stadium, and they used the destruction of that to go into the film as well. So I believe like other stadiums like Highbury will use it.
Yeah, daily.
Going back to Stratford, Westfield, they both take the same amount of time. I know my friend you were interested in the orbit. You go left. So yeah, it's nice to meet you guys.
Probably Jay.
Yeah. I think I was the first
I mean, it is a Sunday.
It's really time, guys. Bored at the moment. Yeah. Oh, Juve was playing, I forgot. Fuck.
Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park and Olympic Stadium. Home to West Ham United.
Yeah, it's mad that it's not their stadium. I remember hearing about that when they had it up for who's gonna move into it and rent it.
Hey, this Ringwood is really sick. I want to see as your granddad. Not Ringwood, this is when you get there.
Has anybody lost a handbag? Yo. My seat. Yo. Full violent. Oh, this is the big 25 now. The big 25. Oh my god.
Justin, what did
Just put his tampons up.
Are you serious?
This is new fashion.
People are walking around with that.
It's an expensive bag.
What we got in
It's an expensive.
No, Jed. That can't be right.
Ticket, reusable snuff, my charger, Vaseline, my chewing gum,
That cannot be right.
AirPods, ID, bank card.
Oh,
I cannot pull off.
listen, please see you on the street wearing that. Good. It dreamt you up.
We came in for the station.
Yeah, the police were looking at it when we.
Yeah, you're damn right. Thinks he was a run of someone. Man sporting somebody's spoils.